Welcome back to Movie Moshow. Today we are going to review the science fiction film, Ad Astra. If you like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe. We post multiple times daily. Spoilers ahead. Future unexplained electrical surges of unknown origin are impacting the solar system, endangering the survival of human life. Major Roy McBride, Brad Pitt, the son of renowned pioneering astronaut H. Clifford McBride, Tommy Lee Jones, is informed by U.S. Space Command, SpaceCom, the branch of the United States Armed Forces operating in space, that the source of the surges has been identified as the Lima Project base after surviving an incident on an enormous space antenna brought on by one of these surges. Clifford McBride had led the Lima Project, which had been launched some 26 years before to look for intelligent life in the solar system's farthest reaches and vanished 16 years earlier in Neptune's orbit. Roy learns from a SpaceCom official that they think Clifford might still be alive, and Roy is given the mission of going to Mars to attempt to contact him. Colonel Pruitt, Donald Sutherland, an old friend of Roy's father, joins him on the expedition. Roy and Colonel Pruitt are escorted by U.S. military forces over no man's land to the SpaceCom lunar outpost after flying a commercial trip to the moon. They are ambushed by scavenger pirates while traveling to the base on lunar rovers, and all save Roy and Pruitt are killed. A dying Pruitt is taken to intensive care after being brought to the base. Roy then boards a SpaceCom aircraft that is piloted by Captain Lawrence Tanner, Donnie Keshawarts, Donald Stanford, Loren Dean, Franklin Yoshida, Bobby Nish, and Lorraine Devers, Kimberly Elise. The Cepheus crew then takes off towards Mars. The ship receives a distress call from a Norwegian biomedical research space station while traveling to Mars. Roy and the ship's captain discover the space station to be deserted when they board it, only to be attacked by an aggressive baboon that had escaped from the Norwegian station. Captain Tanner is killed by the ape before Roy subdues it. Roy is attacked by a second baboon, but he manages to leave the station with the captain's body. Another power surge strikes the ship as it is getting ready to land on Mars, requiring manual intervention. Roy will take over the controls and safely land the ship because the acting captain is too afraid to take to the skies. Roy is taken to the underground SpaceCom base after landing on Mars, which reportedly only has one-man settlement, where he briefly meets Helen Lantos, Ruth Nega, the facility director, and is then given the task of recording voice messages to be sent to the Lima Project in the hopes that Clifford will respond. Tanya Pincus is the only customs officer and employee. The crew presumably receives a response after deviating from the script, but Roy is immediately removed from the mission since his emotional attachment to it is thought to represent a psychological risk to both him and the operation's success. He is visited by Lantos while being held in a comfort room, who explains she is a native Martian and has only ever visited Earth once as a child. She also admits that she is the daughter of members of the Lima Project crew. She reveals to Roy in a covert chat that Clifford's crew had rebelled against him while attempting to return to Earth, which had caused him to slaughter the whole crew by cutting off their life support systems. She also reveals that her parents were among the crew members that perished. She also informs him that the team that took him to Mars is on its way to the Lima Project base to carry out their own nuclear payload destruction. Helen snuck Roy out of the base and led him to an underground lake beneath the rocket launch site after the two decided Roy should be the only one to confront Clifford. Roy boards the rocket as it is being launched, and when the crew notices him, they are told to take him out. Despite Roy's best attempts, the ensuing altercation ends with the killing of the entire crew. Roy now controls the ship on his own. He considers his relationship with his father and that of his estranged wife, Eve, while traveling to Neptune. His mental health suffers due to the solitude and strain of the journey, but he eventually makes it to the Lima Project. Roy is traveling to the base in a small module when another surge hits, destroying the module and requiring Roy to perform a spacewalk to get inside. He plants the nuclear payload after discovering the Lima base completely abandoned and the majority of its crew dead. He then eventually runs across his father. The ship's antimatter power source is malfunctioning since it was damaged during a mutiny, according to Clifford McBride, the base's lone survivor, who explains to his son that he has been unable to find a solution. Clifford also says that he has kept working on the project all these years because he hasn't given up hope that intelligent life outside of humans exists. Clifford eventually resorts to using the thrusters on his spacesuit to launch himself into deep space, refusing to go back to Earth, when Clifford, against his father's objections, arms the cargo and prepares to return to his ship with Roy. Clifford rejects Roy's attempts to save him, forcing Roy to watch in agony as his father disappears into Neptune's orbit. By utilizing a portion of the Lima Project ship's hull as a shield and thrusting himself back onto his ship alone through Neptune's ring, Roy succeeds in retrieving the data from the base and returning to his ship. He utilizes the shockwave from the nuclear explosion to move the spacecraft home because he lacks the fuel to do so on his own. Infused with a fresh desire to connect with people closest to him after learning that the Lima Project data strongly implies that humans are the sole intelligent species in the cosmos, Roy returns to Earth feeling upbeat. He appears to get back in touch with his wife. Thank you for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe.